You're listening to the Light Over Time podcast with David Sargent and Korey Bartos. It is May 31st, 2026. And life is crazy. I feel like we just recorded, but it was actually 2 weeks ago. I can't say that I've done a lot of non-work photography, but I'm sure we have a decent show for you guys today. What are you drinking this morning, David?
Well, it was going to be a cold brew. It was a cold brew that I set up last night at Guatemala, and it was pretty decent. I actually, if I'd have just not done anything to it, we would have started a little earlier, maybe. But I was like, it's a little bit sour because I didn't let it go as long as I should have. So I added a little homemade raspberry syrup to it, and that didn't fix the sourness, and it just kind of made it sour and sweet. And I was like, okay, maybe like a raspberry chocolate thing. I added a little chocolate syrup, and then it became just this abomination that I didn't expect. So I dumped the cold brew and made myself an Americano.
Wow. What a time. Strange Matter in Lansing is out of coffee beans because their roasters are down, and that's very sad because they're pretty legit and the best value for bag of beans. So ran to Factory Coffee, got a Burundi from them, made a latte as I do every single day, like several times a day. However, I did do a little, Kentucky trade-in with a buddy, a SWAT guy up in Traverse City, and he sent me some parts, and we're doing some work for him. And he slid a bag of Yirgachev Mundo coffee beans in my package. So that was epic of him. He was the guy he was the guy that told me about that coffee shop when I was up there doing a armorer's course.
Oh yeah.
And so that was epic. But I left it at Jaegerworks, so I won't have that coffee until next week. But I'm very excited. Anyway, please don't mind Sadie as she starts screaming around the whole house, but we can get kind of started here. So I have like a couple of things I wanted to talk about. Other than that, you have some photography. I have a bit of stuff to share. But I'm going to jump right into just like addressing the haters right away.
Yeah.
So I have not gotten my 35mm f2 yet from MPB, but it's a Fujifilm lens. I already think I am going to trade in all the Fujifilm stuff.
Shocker.
Yeah. So I did. We can actually just get into it too. So I have just some sample stuff. I didn't put everything that I did from like work or anything on here, but I was just gonna run through some of these. So some of the things that I'm having an issue with the Fujifilm, their metering is not very good. And maybe it's fine, but I'm so used to having a camera that meters so well that I can be in aperture priority and just like flick my thumb on the exposure comp dial and like get whatever I need. This camera doesn't know what it wants to do. And I've tried like either hours or days at a time in different metering modes.
Yeah.
I've tried everything that I can to kind of like alleviate. This is the most I've ever worked to try and enjoy a camera. Like truly.
That's frustrating.
Because normally like I'll usually just like give it a go, and if it doesn't vibe right away, I'm like, nah, I'm good. This one I was like, I want to give it like a really fair, because like some of it's going to be just operator error. I understand that. But that was the thing that I could alleviate is okay, educate myself on how the settings work in the camera and try to figure out if it could still be for me. And what I found was that just that exposure kind of craziness is annoying. It does like it does like a preview. I don't know the words right off the top of my head. I probably should have looked into it before we started recording. But on like a lot of like an Canon FD film camera where it'll like open up the aperture or tighten up the aperture, and then when you're going to take an f1.4, it'll open it up and take the photo.
Nikon DSLRs did this too.
Yeah, well, a lot of them did, but just older lenses. Obviously, Nikon was running f lenses that were like 50 years old on DSLRs and stuff, so they had just a long breadth of different styles of lens. But it does that, and it gets in the way of its ability to focus.
Yeah.
And if it's in a challenging focus scenario, it just kind of won't work a lot, which is incredibly frustrating to like half press, move it, half press, move. And it's like, it just shouldn't be that annoying.
No, that's resistance. That's barriers. You don't want that.
And it's like, Is it bad? No. Am I used to incredibly fast cameras that don't get in my way at all? Yes. So I think I wouldn't be going so hard about some of these functions if there weren't like Fujifilm people on. Of course, Threads is just rage bait and stuff like that. But there's a couple of creators that I've seen that like their entire identity online is, oh, that's cute that you edited your photos, check out these straight out of camera, and they're like gorgeous images. I guarantee you this guy probably edits these photos because they're like, you don't just get like 40 bangers in a row when you're just shooting JPEGs. You just don't.
Yeah.
Like, and they're perfectly lit, like all these crazy things, but it's just like people go so hard that this is like the best like photography system ever. And I just want to make the point that listening to people tell you that it's the best thing ever is never worth it, because all of these things probably are nobody else's problem.
Right.
But they're mine.
Right.
So I don't like it.
We take for granted the things that other systems do really well, right?
Right.
And so when you jump over to a new system, you start to notice flaws, and they bother you more than they bother the people that have been living with them for a decade or whatever.
Yeah, and I have a feeling that a lot of that issue that I'm talking about is kind of where people say like Fujifilm's autofocus isn't as good, because it's good autofocus. Like when it's running and it's doing tracking stuff and I have it on like finding faces and stuff, you never really have an issue if it's like properly well lit and stuff. But if you do any kind of like backlit stuff, if it's like relatively low light and the camera doesn't know what it's doing, when it's trying to like preview the aperture, that interrupts the processing to get the autofocus to the point where like I'm missing photos, or it's just taking too long for me to snap a quick photo. Yeah. The other thing that kind of didn't bode well for me was like with the exposure issue, it has made almost all of my JPEGs not worth like even looking at and just going straight to the raw, where it's like the highlights are really blown out for some reason, or I was playing with different ISO settings, like different ISO ranges, and trying to mess with aperture priority like I like to do when I'm just like run and gunning, and I was coming into super low shutter speeds all the time. And like super low shutter speeds where more than like 75% of the frame is overexposed. So that's really frustrating, because if it's overexposed, then I can't get any of those highlights back in the
So you have to question, is that poor metering or is that just poor response to its meter,
I think it's just slow, right? Like you're trying to, you probably have to sit there and like reframe, but like for example, I'll go through some of these. So like some of these are kids, and you're not getting a second chance at photographing like a kid. That's a pain. So here's just like some stuff. This I needed to even out a ton. It was like super underexposed where I wanted, like where I had the autofocus point, and I think I had it at center metering. So maybe, I don't know, the mirror right there, that little highlight in the mirror was enough for it to be like, nope, you know what, this is actually too high, and then like sent it right to hell. And I was like, okay. So this was the raw, and then I edited it with my old boy preset, ubiquitous, but like tonally I like this stuff.
Sure.
Again, old boy, because this is not using old boy, and just showing how nuclear some of the greens are when you're running the raw. This was just kind of like one of my standard presets that I would run in the woods, like doing stuff at Jaegerworks. So like I have it dialed for my greens, and they're just like crazy here, so I had to play. I ended up tweaking them later, but this is just the JPEG that I messed with. The cats, as always.
This is a cool photo.
Yeah, we have this little skylight that actually opens and detects rain, so it'll close when it starts to rain, which is really cool.
That's sick.
But this is a cool photo. And so I should have put the raw file on here. It was on my MacBook. Basically, another thing that I'm not loving about the sensor is I kind of have to put grain on it when I'm doing the raws, because a lot of the raw files, like it seems kind of Play-Doh-y or clay-like, and like smooth in a way that's weird. And then right when I add the grain, it's fine. But it makes me wonder if, because there's a lot of grain settings and stuff, a lot of the film sims have that stuff added, if there's something to that. Like,
Is it like a heavier noise reduction kind of look?
it could, yeah, a little bit, but it's just interesting and it's not pleasant. So my workflow currently is going into Lightroom and just importing into date folders.
Yeah.
I just dump them because I have multiple cameras and I'm doing a bunch of stuff like all the time. It works the best for me.
Yeah.
It's really challenging, the way, like, sometimes I'll forget to change it from capture time to file type, and I have to go to filtering by file type to get the RAWs in, because you'll be going through and it'll say, like, you'll see a bunch of RAFs, but occasionally there will be like a JPEG or something in there, and then when I finish my import, half of the photos are JPEGs. And then so what I'm basically getting at is that having the JPEG preview and then doing RAW plus JPEG is also slowing down my editing and culling, because I have to do some extra steps.
Yeah.
And this sounds like a lot of complaining or whatever. I'm just trying to illustrate kind of the reasons why this doesn't really fit in my very fast, high volume shooting like Sony workflow.
Yeah, these are the kind of things you have to just find out as you work through it. You don't see that on a spec sheet that this is what you're going to run into.
Yeah, and a lot of people are, like, a lot of YouTube content especially is like, hey, I just picked up this camera, here's all the things that are great about it, and like they'll say a couple of cons, but it's like, okay, did you actually shoot this camera? There's very few people that are doing really good stuff, where they're like really breaking down why something might not work for them.
There's a lot of Fuji reviews out there that are heavily based on vibes.
Dude, they're all just, it's so good.
Yeah.
Look at the vibes.
Yeah.
But I still like this preset that I literally made off a Fuji Superior 400, like probably 6 years ago now.
Sure.
Over all the film sims. And I've tried so many film sims over the last couple of weeks. But anyway, just some stuff. There was what do you call it? Like the Fish Ladder now opens up as like a public park in Lansing, and they were doing a concert there. This band that's local that a lot of people really love were playing a bunch of 80s hits. So we went out there, and like the kids got their face painted and stuff. I was petting a dog.
Sweetie.
I did a couple of photos in the park where we were watching the kids play, and like, I love this lens. Like, I love the fall off of this lens.
Yeah.
This is the 23mm f1.4, the new one, the LMWR. It's a cool lens, but I had to do a lot to these RAW files, even with my preset, to make them, like, I tanked the highlights. Like, I had to pull up the shadows a ton.
Yeah.
It was pretty wild.
Does it have the latitude though that you're happy with? You can get there.
It's mostly there. It's not like, it's a relatively modern sensor, so it's doing what it can do, and like, I don't know, but it's still not their best sensor, I'd guess. Like, if you're going for crunchy stuff, it does black and white really well. If you're gonna do higher contrast stuff and add a lot of grain, you're not gonna notice that it's like kind of a lackluster image.
Sure.
Otherwise, this is an example of, like, it had no business at f1.4 going down to 1/15 of a second when this kid is literally under a light post, and it was like, I'm just gonna overexpose the hell out of this for no reason. And I was like, cool.
I would be curious to know which metering mode it was in this shot.
I'm fairly certain that I had this one on multi at that point, but and then just. This one turned out pretty okay, but I basically tanked the highlights because it was completely white behind jewels.
Yep.
But decent shadow pull up. Like, there's detail there when I pulled up the shadows, because she was basically just dark. And then here's like a relatively hard task for basically any camera, right? This is ISO 640, 1/70th of a second, and at f1.4, and like, it's fine.
Yeah. Sure.
You know.
I mean, especially for not a full frame sensor, it's a little more demanding situation for all cameras, right? So the weaknesses of smaller sensors are going to show in these lower light situations.
Yeah,
it looks fine.
And they can all handle it, but man, like, or maybe the haters can just comment below and tell me that I'm a complete and total idiot because I can't get this camera to do anything that I want it to do. And so if the alternative is I'm shooting full manual all the time, that's going to be even slower than like me just wanting to grab a camera and take a quick photo.
Yeah.
Um, I I put a lot of time into trying to really, really like this thing. Um, and it wasn't until just like after this shoot and stuff, I was like, what am I doing still?
Yeah.
Because these aren't cheap cameras.
Right.
Like this is the XT4, which is just the predecessor to what their current highest end like flagship APS-C camera is. I'd be really curious to see their 40 megapixel sensor now and compare it to this, because I bet that probably gets rid of some of the weird muddiness that I'm seeing with like the clay like.
Oh, maybe.
There's probably a little bit more detail that it's securing and stuff, but I'm just.
But I think your issues go deeper than that.
Yeah, it's because I think the raw file on most of the Sony stuff from every version of Sony camera that I've ran is closer to the final thing that I need than these raw files are.
Yeah.
These raw files are very flat. I should have just like exported some of the raws. They're very flat. I get why a lot of the Fuji people don't like to edit them. They're really uninspiring looking,
Interesting.
like flat files.
I pulled some raws off the Z8 yesterday, and I was like, damn, I just got to like bump the contrast a little, and this looks pretty close to done.
Yeah, and a lot of that's happening in the Sony for me. But then I have, user presets, and I've been editing ARW files for, since 2018 now. But yeah.
There are workflow issues both in the field and in post that seem like you've got resistance and barriers on both ends that kind of just stop you from having fun in the moment. Not necessarily like it doesn't sound like you really care to switch the Fuji into manual and have fun with the manual focus thing when you just want to get the fucking job done, right?
Well, yeah, and I don't want to, like, my everyday carry camera is not supposed to be like a thing that I'm sitting there and being really super intentional with photography. It's like I want a small cool camera that I'm taking photos of moments and things, and even the A7 IV is going to do a better job for just pulling it out of my bag and snapping a couple photos and putting it away. And that's generally what I use it for. So
Sony's made a really good name for themselves for reliability in these kind of situations, for metering, for focusing.
Their auto white balance, like the whole deal is it always works. So not to poo-poo every single thing about Fujifilm. I think it's doing a cool thing, but you pretty much got to work at it. Like if you're changing your like film sim between different shooting environments and you have it set up where like you're really into that like workflow or whatever, regardless of what I did, every single one of my current film sims are customized, from both utilizing people's like homebrewed ones where they put on the internet like, hey, this is my like Portrait 400 or this is my whatever, to just taking the basic ones and like pulling back down the like blacks and like trying to balance it out so it's closer to something that I would enjoy to look at. And a lot of the time they look pretty cool in the back of the camera, and then I get them into my computer and they're like either washed out or like the blacks are just destroyed or the highlights are way overexposed, and that's just frustrating. So,
and this isn't your first experience with Fuji. Your history of Fuji goes back a ways. So, I mean, I trust your judgment here.
Yeah, this was my trying to get back in, and I figured go with the camera that has the most features that I'm into. I wanted the flip screen. I tried to do some video stuff with it. It's not reliable enough for me to even do a talking head. I didn't feel like
just like a lot of hunting, or what are we talking about there?
It would just like pull into the background, and like I was just out of focus at moments that didn't make any sense when it's like a static, and it's like kind of busy. My set at work is kind of busy because there's like firearms on the wall and stuff like that, but like I'm using studio lights and I'm standing right in the middle of the frame. And
is that like a camera with like IAF, right? Like that's modern enough?
It's supposed to like, have face detect kind of autofocus stuff for, and it's That's frustrating
Yeah, for
because when
sure.
I put a zone focus on the Sony, which I'm using right here, even the 24, doesn't matter what lens I use out of all my lenses, I just know that it's gonna, if I'm in the middle, if I'm in that box, I'm there. I'm
Yeah.
just there every single time.
Yeah.
It doesn't
And
like
that's
try to,
almost like for a talking head, that's like 100% positive confidence, right? Like
yeah,
that's not going out.
yeah. If that goes out of focus, it's because I did something,
Right.
like for sure. Like I have a smaller box and I like moved my head like just out of the box or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, it's not for me. I'm gonna probably just like retrieve the 35 f2. I'll probably take some sample photos and like play around with it for the next couple of days. But I think I'm probably gonna send it to B&H this time, because I'm probably gonna make a larger purchase. I haven't decided what that larger purchase is. Um, I canceled my pre-order for the A7R6 for now, and the only reason I did that is because I wasn't sure it was going to come before the wedding. I don't really need it for my wedding photos that I'm going to do out west, and I just want to make sure that we can get through that
Sure.
giant trip plus the rest of what we need with the wedding with, not being fiscally irresponsible. So
Makes sense.
I'm still pretty sure that I want to buy that camera. I just don't need it right now. So I'm going to just like chill out. I probably will end up with it, but
it does seem like your camera, but your reasoning is there.
I can get like almost $1,500 for the two lenses and this X-T4 from B&H. Yeah. That's crazy.
From B&H is crazy. Yeah.
So
they hold their value, that's for sure, but to you it just seems like it's not the one.
Yeah, it's the cool guy. Everybody wants to run the Fuji stuff, but
yeah,
definitely not for me. So I'm going to either roll it into the 28-70. I might even get a smaller zoom lens. I might just roll it right into the new camera body, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
And rest assured, I believe unless something crazy happens, my Fujifilm door, this chapter is closed permanently.
Permanently?
We're
talking in absolutes here?
Well, I said unless something crazy happens, like...
Okay. Something crazy.
Yeah, well, and then not to beat a dead horse or whatever, but this is so much larger than my A7CR was that it actually fits in my sling bag horribly. Oh. So it's like the size of your ZF. It's not a small camera. It's not an APS-C small camera. I was talking to Elle about it, and I was like, I think I would legitimately rather daily carry the A6700 than this camera. Because it does what I need and it does it really well. I can put the 24mm G Master on the A6700 and the overall package is smaller than this. And I'm getting the same, quality. 35mm, 1.4, etc. But anyway, crazy. We can go into some of your stuff if you'd like. We got May 21 birding.
Yeah, I've done a little bit. This was the first good day that I've had this year, really.
Okay.
This was just on Lake Angeline, and I think it was an evening, about an hour walk. I believe I wrote this down in my journal. I think it was from 8 to 9 p.m. So sunset, which I don't normally do there because sunrise, I find the light to be a little better in a lot of the areas that I walk that trail.
Sure.
But I walked it in this time of year. There's a couple of spots that do catch some nice light that I don't remember seeing the way that I saw them. So I stuck around for an hour at this location here on the trail, and I think got some pretty nice stuff. I'm pretty sure that's a magnolia there. And we saw some palm warblers. That's chestnut sided, which I didn't get a lot of time with last year. So really nice. And I remember sending you a message on Instagram going, dude, I just got a bunch of warblers and some nice golden light. So this is what that was.
Nice.
Man, it looks very much like the shadows are very blue on that shot. So maybe I should revisit that image in edit. But I like the light. It did a lot for me there. Inspired me. So now I'm feeling more motivated to, dude, the last 2 days I've woken up at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning to get out. And it's because I saw this stuff.
Dude, your 500mm is so nuts.
It's good, man. It's really, I'm very pleased with it. It's nice to know you have a lens that you can leave wide open and not think, oh, am I going to gain some sharpness by going down,
No.
half a stop or something?
No.
Nope. I've got it. I don't need to worry.
You're fine.
Yep. So Palm Warbler, and
Yeah, like
he was giving me looks, and that lens is just so much fun to play with because it has a fairly close enough focus that they can be, I think it's like 3 feet from me, and whatever thickness I'm trying to shoot through, as long as I see them, everything just goes dreamy. It really works in my favor. So yeah, lots of Palm Warbler action. And this, I'm noticing trends. So this trail is good for magnolias, for palm warblers, yellow rumped.
Is that an ovenbird?
I can't remember. Maybe it is.
That looks like an ovenbird.
But again, just that dreamy effect. I'm shooting through a bunch of birch and poplar there, and then I believe this was the last one on this day. Hairy woodpecker, I think. And
that kind of looks like a sapsucker.
Oh, it might be. They have that like the yellow belly, right? So I didn't see his belly.
Yeah, he's got the.
There is a family of yellow belly.
The hairy wouldn't have the red beard.
You're right. Yep, you're right. That is probably a yellow-bellied sapsucker. And then at the end of that day, right after that, I heard a ruffed grouse, but didn't get to see him. That trail is full of them, and they just never give me the time of day there. But
yeah, that's
later
epic.
On, we do see one. But yeah, that was a really nice evening.
His beak is out of focus, and his eyes are perfectly in focus. That's nuts.
It's nice because those birds, they come down from the trees for the most part, and you're close to them. Yeah. So you do get that just crazy short depth of field. So it's fun to play with. And I'm probably going to be doing it this evening, actually, because my morning sucked.
Yeah, you gotta redeem yourself on that one.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, man. So that was a good morning. And then
IR?
After the Finch meeting that we had on this Sunday, I brought with me my ZF with the TT Artisan 21 millimeter, and I realized that my variable infrared filter fits that. It's a 72 millimeter filter thread, and I think I used it on the Sigma 50 millimeter on the Sony system last year or the year before, and that was the only lens that fit at the time. So this is actually my first time ever using wide angle with infrared, and I found that to be quite refreshing. So walking around, seeing everything I've seen before, and there is fog, so there's a lot of like weirdness going on with like haziness. It was a very thick fog. But it was really refreshing just to walk around and see everything that I've seen so many times in very literally a very new way. With infrared, it's interesting because you have two discussions to have. There's infrared cameras that are modified at the sensor level for seeing infrared and cutting out visible light. And then you have the ability to buy a screw-on filter. What that does, though, is very different because you're really reducing your exposure, and there's not a whole lot left over for the sensor, but it does block out visible light. So anything you do have left, theoretically, is mostly infrared. I think there is a little bit of like it's not as good, right? It's not as good as modifying the sensor because you're getting a bit of mixed data, I think, in there because it doesn't block out all visible spectrum. So it's still fun to play with. I would love to play with a IR modded camera though to really like go back and forth and see the difference on that. In the springtime, early springtime, before foliage is grown on a lot of trees, it's not really doing you a whole lot of good because there's not a lot there that's reflecting infrared back to the sensor. However, there were some trees that had leaves fully grown that were doing that pretty well. So consider this a fair mix of just black and white. Yeah. And some of them really showing off what IR is doing, like this, for example. Yeah. This tree's leaves were reflecting IR back nicely. It was also really cool to spin the variable threading to go from, I think it's 560 nanometers to 720 nanometers and see just the effects of what's going on. When I did that, I noticed there's some cross patterns at a wide angle that I never noticed at 50 millimeter.
Sure.
So on 21 millimeter, you really see some wonky effects, which is fine. It comes with the territory of experimentation, and
Right.
it's on the TT Artisan lens. So I know I'm not going for like perfection, right?
Right.
So I took it with the territory that it comes with. So that's why you see like maybe on the top left of this image, the sky is dark, really dark, and then on the top right, it's quite bright. It's because partly that's some of that cross pattern just landing there, which I think is okay. It is what it is.
Yeah. This is ominous as hell.
Yeah, I found some of these trees with like these blossoms were really reflective with IR, and then like the tree on the left, not so much because there's not much growing on it yet, right? So very interesting to play with, and I just had a lot of fun, and that was a nice day. So
yeah, heck yeah,
it was nice to produce some stuff out of that.
I have the batteries for the full spectrum A7S II charging right now. I'd like to get out and play with that a little bit this week. So we'll have a little round robin in the old Discord, I'm sure, with Ryan and you. We can kind of compare some of our nonsense.
Yeah, I'd like to do that.
Yeah.
And then
here we go.
Yesterday, today is May 31. So this is from May 30. Tony and Jason and I got up at the ungodly hour. I think I set my alarm for 4 a.m. We were on the road by like 4:30, I think. And it's a half-hour drive from where we live in Ishpeming to get out to Wetmore Landing here. It's a little north of Marquette, just a few minutes really, in the area of Presque Isle Park where we were and saw the peregrine falcons, not too far from there.
Yeah.
So we saw sunrise, very nice. I was playing with the Viltrox 16 millimeter on the Z8. I did bring the Tamron 28-75 and the Viltrox 135 Lab. So we've got a few different things to look through. Sunrise was nice. I've noticed there's some distortion on the horizon with this 16 mil.
Yeah, I mean it's full frame 16. It's so wide.
Well, I'm noticing because I think this is the first time I'm seeing a 16 mil shot with the Z8 on DxO. So I'm wondering if there's some corrections that are just different from Lightrooms that I just need to look into. But I played with Nick Collection's HDR effects. This is this one and the previous shot are 3-shot blends that I think does a pretty good job. I think it's at least on par with what Lightroom would have produced for me as a stack in Lightroom by itself. Sure. But I couldn't quite get away from the HDR look. I couldn't make it subtle enough.
Yeah.
It's definitely got the HDR look, and I spent a long time with these two images going back and forth on sliders trying to make it not so obvious. But I think when you do HDR at over a 3-stop difference, it's hard to get away from.
That's fair.
So a little subtlety goes a long way there. But after that, I put the 135 on and just played around, and I'm so glad I brought that lens because I haven't had a lot of time with it, and I found a lot of areas where I had a lot of fun. Jason was down there with, I think, his 35 millimeter lens, and as he does, he's just playing around with the dewdrops on the grass. So I was having fun catching him. Tony on the rocks down the way a little bit, the light casting on him and in the background a little bit as those trees were kind of starting to catch a glow too. The landscape was just looking nice, so I took advantage. That lens, man, it's such a dream. I wish it wasn't quite so heavy and bulky. But that's just,
I wish the 135-1.8 wasn't so heavy and bulky. Yeah, man. Like, it's called physics.
Is so nice. But it's unfortunate that that's the case, that it I look at that and then I look at the 85 and I just tend to take the 85 sometimes because of the size.
Yeah.
It's nice to have though. It really is. So I really just need to force myself to use it more because, man, the looks I was getting, I loved.
I think about the GM all the time.
I'm sure.
Like, I get it. I freaking get it, dude.
In the close focus, so I was watching Jason, and when he was done there, I kind of stepped into his spot and was like, okay, let me channel my inner Jason Dean here. So I did what he does and just kind of rack focus with some stuff that's interesting, and found a couple of compositions. I was like, oh, this is kind of nice. This is if this is like a what would Jason do moment, and a few of us have had that.
What would Jason do? Because it's
That's good.
due.
Yeah, that's good.
Sorry.
Uh,
Sorry.
but it's not the first time. There's a couple of us Finch members who really admire what Jason's been doing with abstract work for a long time. His macro stuff, and he kind of makes it more abstract than even what macro can be sometimes. And a few of us have just been inspired by what he's doing. So shout out, Jason. You're doing good work by inspiring the rest of us. You're doing good work, and I had fun. So that was the sunrise there, and then we made some coffee.
Dude, that bouquet is circle as heck.
It's crazy, huh?
That's
I love
why it looks good, man. Like, yeah,
it is. It's very pleasing to work with.
it's an underserved focal length and aperture combo for sure.
Yeah.
There's not a lot that's like, I'm sure if you see one, you'll go, what is that? Why does that look different than other photos that I've seen? Because it's just remarkable. But
It
anyway,
is, and I really hope this focal length sells a little bit for Viltrox, because I actually would love for them to make like a 135 2.8 maybe, and bring the size down, because
Dude.
you'd still get crazy good compression in bokeh.
your lips to Jordan Drake's ears,
Yeah,
who's been
yeah.
asking for like 135 3.5s and stuff from companies. Because
And
could you
it-
imagine if a first party lens manufacturer was like, you know what, we're just going to make the optics super good, we're going to make a 135 like f3.5, and it was like G or G Master level?
Well,
Ugh.
I mean, you have Nikon with the 105 2.8. That's pretty close, and that's about the same price as the Viltrox.
But that's a
135.
macro lens.
It is a macro.
So
lens,
like
yes.
everybody has the 90 to 100 to 105,
Yeah.
but that's a different like set of optical engineering than
It
just
is,
doing
yeah.
a telephoto 135.
It is.
So like miss me with those macro lenses. Tamron's is actually really good, by the way. Played with it at a store, and
Oh, the new one.
yeah, and I was like, oh wow, the Sony we have at work feels a little kind of,
Oh, interesting.
and that's a really sharp lens. The Sony's insane, but
But
anyway, making coffee.
It's set up perfectly because they have the Lab series, the Pro
Yeah.
series, and the Air series, and I think they could make a Pro series 2.8 and cut the size and weight, and it would still be sharp, and it would still be. I mean, it would be just as great to haul around as the 85. I think. Then I would be more inclined to take both in some situations, but. As it is, it's a beautiful lens. It produces beautiful results. I had fun. We made some coffee. And then after that, we went over to Harlow Lake. Harlow Lake was nice. I heard a lot of birds, but we got there a little late in the morning, so like a lot of the like best light was
Trigger
on.
warning.
Yeah, trigger warnings. My bad. A bit of a deer carcass here that we ran into, but we stumbled upon it, and I was like, this is interesting, Tony. And he's like, oh, I don't know if I would share this on socials, and I'm like, I would. It's got nice light on it. So my bad if I hit you with the scare on that. But you just come across these things sometimes. A couple of interesting trees, but I was mostly using this as scouting because I haven't visited Harlow Lake enough on my own.
Sure.
So that was nice. And then we went to Warner Falls, which I didn't really get any pictures that I liked from Warner Falls. But when we pulled up to the spot, I got out the car and I heard a little ruffling in the woods right next to us. And I looked and I was like, oh my God, that's a ruffed grouse. And he didn't fly away. He just kind of like walked a foot to the side to just like, didn't want to deal with me too much, but he stayed there. And I had to go to the back of the car, get the camera out of the bag, and get the 135 back on. And boy, oh boy, he just stayed there for me for about 60 seconds while I took some shots, and
Love that.
did a little shift. So I got 2 shots of him with like the little feathers on the top of the head catching light and one not. And
Yeah.
I thought, man, this is nice. And so with the 135, it looks like I'm getting a pretty equal relative sharpness to the 500, and I was really happy. I did use Nick Collection's sharpener on these 2 images, and good gravy, just like that actually works really well to sharpen enough that it makes a difference, but it doesn't look over sharpened.
I was using it for the to sharpen up after I was softening stuff from doing the retouching.
Yeah.
And even on a photo of an old film photo, the sharpening just kind of did what you wanted it to, and it didn't have that like the like the like swirly weird. Yeah.
Yeah, and like mostly there's a lot of sliders you can do in that, but mostly right out the gate, not even like artifacting that I had to worry about,
Yeah.
right? Just I toned it down just a little bit and still it came out just crispy.
Yeah. Like
So
this doesn't scream at all that you are like doing a bunch of post processing sharpening,
I'm
which is
super
cool.
glad. There's a bit of masking in there.
Yeah.
Obviously pulled up some shadows. I have him masked. I used the AI mask with ooh, with NDXO and pulled him up exposure wise, but tried not to separate it too much. I like what came out of that.
I shot it on the Fuji. Sorry. No, it's cool, man.
Wonderful.
That's just a beautiful bird.
This is so far the best shot of a ruffed grouse I've got, and I'm actually finally now happy with a ruffed grouse shot. If you've been listening for a while since I moved up to Ishpeming, I walk these trails at Lake Angeline, and I just hear the thump 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 of these ruffed grouse, and I scare them off, and I've got a butt shot of one, and I've got a ghostly shot of another. Finally, I get one that sticks around for more than a split second, and I'm so happy with this shot. It's so nice. I love it.
That's super sick. I'll try not to be salty because it's really cool, but and I get a lot of really cool birds too. But I'm a bit jealous because these are both hard to see and really cool birds.
And to get like a good closer shot with not my 500, like a good usable shot with a 135, I'm pleased. I'm pleased.
Yeah. Heck yeah, that's pretty sweet. We love to see it.
I could go out this morning if you want that story.
Yeah, we can talk about that in a second. I'd really like to get some decent birding in. Elle has tried to go a couple of times, but how are the bugs up there, dude? The bugs down here are brutal right now.
For the last week since it got like hot, bad.
Yeah.
It is mosquito heaven right now. Yesterday we got on Wetmore on the lake where it was a little breezy, not bad at all. Once we got off into the inland lake, it was pretty swarmy. So I would recommend a bug net if you're in the area right now.
Yeah, bug nets, decent kind of repel, whatever you find that works best for you. I really like repel. It's like the pseudo natural like lemon and pine kind of situation. But yeah, like even just at the range, I'm like bit up because me and Dalton went out at work for like 40 minutes to zero some firearms and do some stuff, and it, like in the sun, fine. Right when you enter the shade, doesn't matter. They just swarm the hell out of you. That late winter and everything has been brutal, but
I think a lot of them are hatching now because all between like the moisture finally starting to let up and now the heat coming on, there's a lot of mosquitoes hatching. We're not dealing with black flies yet. I'm gonna guess that's a July problem.
Yeah. Excuse me.
All good. So
it has me worried for the wedding, but we'll see. Yeah, there's one topic I wanted to jump into before we get into your morning.
Oh sure.
How many Chinese lenses have come out in the last 5 months?
Oh, plenty.
It's so many. And I haven't even realized, like, I haven't seen much in the wild of some of the like newer brands or whatever, just like kind of that they're being released and stuff. But like Taipak has 1 million lenses that just came out. They just I've been seeing their Chimera C 16 mil, which is a 16 mil cine lens that's T1.9. I saw a bunch of like sample images this last weekend from that, and it's like remarkably clean looking.
They have good optical formula. Yeah,
and then they just released the 24 to 50 f2.8, which is the Voyager, which is like Sony's G lens. I was kind of hoping they'd reverse it where it would be 24 closed and 50 out. But I've watched a couple comparisons, like punch for punch, it's quite good, and it's half the price, which is pretty wild. There's some cons to it that would make me not get it over like a G lens, particularly, but like for everybody else who's not picky and stupid like I am, normal people, it's a really hard sell to go to the G lens when that lens exists.
It's true. I remember, it was only a few months ago. I feel like it was February where I said, this is the year for third-party lenses to do some interesting things, like non-standard zooms. And here's ThighPoc, that was not my first guess at which one was going to do this. But it looks like a solid third-party option if you want something like that. You don't got many other options.
Yeah, well, and then like I don't know. I assume is Rokinon and Samyang like Korea, not necessarily Chinese. I think they're probably Korean. Anyway, I didn't realize that I believe they have a 24 to 60 f2.8.
Yeah, they did do something a little different. Yep.
And then they have a 14 to 24 f2.8, both full frame autofocusing lenses.
Yes.
And I kind of want to try them. I've used a lot of Rokinon lenses in the past, but they're all probably greater than 3 to 4 years old now.
Yeah, I think they've had multiple versions of autofocusing lenses now, and I haven't used any of those lenses since they were all only manual focus.
Right, and they did the Tamron 35 to 150 f2 to f2.8. Like they basically cloned that lens, and so I'm curious because I haven't seen that many of at least the YouTube folks that I kind of follow talk about those lenses at all. I haven't seen any buzz around them at all.
I think that's just a product of how much there is out there now.
Right, for sure. But man, like to imagine getting a full frame 14 to 24 for sub $1,000, that's like pretty dang clean. That's a wildly versatile lens if you're into the wide angle stuff. And then I'm really keen, like the 24 to 60 f2.8 from Lumix almost was enough for me to go, I'm finally going back because I want that lens. Just a little smaller, a little bit more like kind of everyday. I think I'd rather a 24 to 60 than a 28 to 70 for whatever that's worth.
I think I agree with that.
But yeah.
Even though I have a 28 to 70.
Well, it's a 28 to 75. I'm running a 28 to 70 f2.8 Sigma at work still. Yeah. And I'm still considering the 28 to 70 f2 because it's just legendary. But
if I didn't have the 16, I would definitely want like something starting in 20.
Right. Yeah. I'd love to see a 2.8 20 to 50 or something in that realm where you're getting a lot wider and not going quite as long, because that would be way more versatile to me. Or maybe pushing that 16 to like 45 40 50, get it like it'd be a little bigger, but it'd be worth it because that would be a more versatile lens. I'm not a 16 to 35 guy because it just doesn't go quite long enough to have I don't know that I would select a 16 to 35 over a 24 to 70 ever.
But I'd love to see like the performance between 16 millimeters on that lens versus if it goes to 40. Like we love a good 40, right? Is it as good of a 40 as a prime 40? I would love to see that. Yeah,
it could be cool. But anyway, I just think it's wild. Like if you're not looking at some of the options coming out, but you're like, especially if you're considering a new camera system or you're still on DSLR and you're going to mirrorless, the amount of options that are out now that make even the Nikon system more viable, Canon is still over there just slumping around. But if you're looking at a Lumix, a Sony, or a Nikon, like there's so many options.
Did you see that case reflex lens that came out?
Yeah, I didn't care much about it. I think it's interesting, but reflex lenses are kind of wild.
It's only interesting because reflex lenses aren't usually autofocus, and this one is. Yeah. And I believe it's for E mount and Canon EF mount.
Which it's not for L mount.
It might be.
Okay.
I can't remember.
It'd be really
I don't
weird.
think it was for Nikon.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair enough. It definitely is interesting. It'd be cool to see, because like I've used, I think maybe a 350 or a 400 reflex lens years ago. It was like a very cheap one. Yeah. But they usually weigh absolutely nothing, and they're usually like crazy telephoto. So imagine
that Katana lens that I think that Kurt used on his.
Yeah. And it's like, what if you just want to like spend less than $600, buy an old mirrorless camera that's been out for like 5 years, and then get birds? It's like, man, an autofocusing like 400 or 500 reflex.
And if you don't care about like birds or moving subjects, if you just want to use a 300 mil and not have something huge, and you just want to do stationary stuff, that's a solid option.
Yeah, for sure. But
They're
anyway,
not as optically awesome.
what was the focal length on the case?
Oh man, I want to say it was something weird, but I don't want to say a little over 100 maybe.
Okay, I thought it was like mid 100 something, like 150 or something like that.
I think it is 150.
Okay.
Yeah,
I couldn't remember, but I remember seeing something about it. But yeah, tell me about your morning, bud.
We'll make this somewhat brief. Last night I put a couple batteries on the charger because I've been shooting more lately. Woke up, put the 500 on the in the Z8 and the Tamron in my bag. Made sure I had a nice fully charged battery in the Z8. We get out there at, I want to say it was about 6 o'clock. I hit the trail. It's a half-hour drive to the trail. 15 minutes on the trail. I turn the camera on. We're kind of looking at things. There's a lot of fog on the lake. I shot a loon this morning. The light was gorgeous as I walked in. I got I want to say like a quarter mile down the trail. I look back towards where I started, and I see all this fog and this beautiful light cascading through the trees. I take some shots of that with 500 mil because like a 70 to 200 would have been perfect in that situation. So I wasn't going to put the 28 to 75 on. So I just took a few tighter shots of that. Beautiful stuff. Keep going. Take a few shots of some little things here and there, but all the while the ibis is engaging and disengaging, and the view. I have a high refresh rate on the viewfinder, so after about an hour and 15 minutes, battery dies. That's fine. That's pretty typical for the Z8. But I wasn't productive yet, really, because the light wasn't good in the spots that I was waiting for the light to be good in. So finally, the light started to get good, and I really was right about to take things seriously. And the more casual stuff that I'd been doing for the last hour and 15 minutes killed the battery. So I was like, oh, shoot. I dig into the pocket where I always put my battery holder, and it's pretty loose. There's just air. And then it hit me. Those batteries that I put on the charger last night, I didn't put in the battery holder, and I didn't put the battery holder in my bag. So the half-hour drive turned into an hour of driving there and back with not much that I have to show for the trip. So just let that be a lesson. Prepare correctly, charge your batteries, and then put them in your bag. Wake up with your stuff with every charge your batteries earlier in the day, and then like when they're charged before bed, put them in your bag, and just like wake up and go with everything ready to go. That's the way I should have done it.
Yeah. I've been kind of spoiled by a product that I kind of want to do. Maybe I'll start doing 60-second reviews of products that like don't really need videos for our channel, because did I mention the Tilta battery pack thing that I bought?
Oh, I don't know about a pack. Tell me.
So Tilta, which some people have said like don't get electronics from Tilta, but then I saw a couple of like pretty active professional videographers that are YouTubers use these as well since I bought them. But they have this beautiful thing here that has little top.
Mm-hmm.
They have, each battery has its own USB-C, which is epic. Oh, that's not the right one. That is the normal Sony. But then this plugs in via USB-C, and you can charge all four of them with one USB-C port.
Yeah.
And it'll charge my Sony batteries. It'll charge the Tilta batteries. It has this nice little box. It tells you which ones are good. You just saw the green, yellow, and red. So you can
just grab the whole thing and go.
So this just lives in my backpack.
That's cool.
And then I obviously have all my Sony batteries, but when we're traveling and doing bird stuff, me and Elle will plug this into the car. And when we're just like getting in and out of the car, we'll just make sure that this thing is just always going. I actually bought one because it was significantly cheaper for the Fuji. So I have 4 Fuji batteries in one of these. It was $86 for 4 batteries and the charger. The Sony one was $186. Now, an NP-FZ100 battery is $88 from Sony.
Yeah.
So I essentially got 2 free batteries.
Yeah.
And a charging case.
That's huge, and that's a nice case. That's good utility.
It pops off a little bit. I want to figure out if I can get a way to like make sure it doesn't like accidentally pop. But for inside my bag, it's so good. and it's easy to tell what I got. All you have to do is pull one and then you put it back in, and it'll show you which ones are good and which ones are bad.
Maybe a little gaff tape would add some friction there.
Yeah, it's not super important, but it's just like kind of annoying if you like kind of bump one. It comes off really light, but yeah, it's epic. It's super epic. Really happy with it, and the batteries function without errors on all of our Sony cameras.
Oh, so you don't even get a warning.
No warning. It has accurate readout, so it'll tell me the percentage.
Nice.
And everything, which is nuts because a lot of third-party stuff won't give you like all the data and stuff like that. These do. And
that's really awesome.
I haven't found that they're, worse than the factory batteries. Like they seem to hold the same amount of charge. They seem to run really well. And it has saved me so many times. So now I have this. If I know that I'm doing photography, I have this, and I have my little Pelican SD card case. I always have at least two pairs of unused SD cards, and this. And I
need to see if they make a Nikon version of that.
Yeah, definitely do. Because it's epic.
I did try to charge my camera in the car because there's a nice spot to look for birds near the car too, but I had a third-party battery in my Z8 and it won't charge. The ZF will charge the third-party battery in camera, but the Z8 will not, which I think is strange and stupid. But whatever.
I was always anti third-party battery, but like $88 per battery. When Elle and I are both using a bunch of batteries, it was getting to the point where we were like, we got 20%. We got to figure out how to charge our stuff. Like, and we're on the road, like in Florida or Texas or something, trying to do the thing. But this has been on 2 trips with me now. I also took it to like NRA and stuff. I'm never without battery power now, and it's awesome.
I also just think most new, better branded third-party batteries, the days of reliability questions are behind us, I think, a little bit on that.
Yeah.
I just don't hear about it enough that there are third-party batteries killing things and dying all the time. Yeah. Prove me wrong, and I'll eat my words, but
I think the only ones that I sign off on right now for Sony, this is my experience, is Small Rig and Tilta. I don't think I'd use any other third-party companies, but yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. I think so a couple of the considerations, kind of switching gears but not really, why I was like, okay, let me think through the A7R6 a little bit more, was storage. So I've been cleaning up my computers and my hard drives and my backup situation. And I have even trimmed the fat out of old archives of photography, like RAWs that I kept. Like I was like, dude, I don't actually need some of this stuff. Like I'm gonna just get rid of stuff where it's like garbage photos or whatever that I know I don't need. But storage is so expensive now.
I can't replace my CF Express if I needed to right now.
Yeah, no, because like I would have to like go, okay, if I need to replace my my cards, I guess I'll see you in 3 paychecks and like hope I can do it. So I just bought there was a sale, so I have 2 unopened Lexar 256 gig UHS 2 V90 V90 cards because I needed to make sure that I could get these, and these were $80 cheaper than any other brand on any other platform. B&H threw them on like super sale, and I was like, dude, $80 saved, like let's go. And then I bought a 480 gig CF Express Type A card from OWC, which I haven't used their stuff, but Petapixel was sponsoring them. I know Chris Nichols has been running like a ton of those cards, so I decided to just give it a go. Both because I was assuming I was going to get the A7R6, and just when I start burning through photos on the A9 III, sometimes the 160 gig CF Express card I have just like gets annihilated.
Oh man.
So, if I go into a couple of bursts, basically if I do a few 120 FPS bursts during a normal birding session, my card will be pretty close to full.
God dang.
That's with all the other photos, like you're just doing a full day, and 160 is just not enough. So the files in compressed RAW on the A7R6 are 100 megabytes each,
Mm-hmm.
which is a ton.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to use it a lot for birding. I'll be in APS-C mode a lot using that birding.
Yeah.
But it's like, okay, am I in the position right now realistically? Because I can't afford a new backup SSD. I have two, but they're like, all of them are like 4 to 5 times what they were a couple years ago. So I have a
out here right now.
I have a 1 terabyte and a 2 terabyte SSD right now. I have an 8 terabyte archive hard drive, and then I have a 4 terabyte like old enclosure-less like raw hard drive, plus my PC and plus the storage on my Mac.
Yeah.
So I'm running pretty light as far as somebody who does this. I also have my computer at work, which has a 4 terabyte and a 1 terabyte like normal SSD.
Yeah.
So I try to keep most of my work stuff on my work stuff or on like Google Drives.
Yeah.
And then I clear out what I can. But just exporting stuff and having like light exports for work on my personal computers was like tanking my storage space.
Yeah.
So it's like, what can I get rid of? What can I get rid of? It's a huge consideration when you're talking about like, oh, do I really want a super fast camera? Can I afford to be shooting 30 FPS even? Like 30 FPS in your camera, or does it go up to 30 or 20?
I think it might be 20.
20 FPS, 45 megapixel stills is like brutal. And what's your CF Express card hold?
I think I have a 450 or a 512. I think it's a 512.
Yeah. But pretty much necessary. Like, these are my first cards, other than my 160 CF Express, that are above 128.
Yeah.
So I've been rocking dual 128s since, well, probably since 2017.
Yeah, the Z8 was the first thing that made me ever think, is 128 enough?
Right.
And if you have to think, then it probably isn't.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So try to find, especially like me, I bought these Lexars because I'm running the same cards I've been using since probably 2021 was the last time I bought new SD cards. And they have a lot of read and write cycles, especially birding. Like, you just annihilate your SDs, and they do not last forever. So
what's the plan now?
Gear-wise, to just chill for a minute.
Okay, all right.
I got to get through. Like I said, I have. I'm not going to talk about it yet until it happens, but I have a pretty cool opportunity to try out a camera and a really nice lens during that trip.
Yeah.
And then, I was listening to a couple of different podcasts, some content, some pros talk about like their workflows and stuff. And I'm tempted to try and do all of my photos for the wedding on the A9 III.
Okay.
Because 24 megapixels is fine, especially if you don't need to crop. I've been spoiled by high megapixel cameras, but I'd be curious. I'm gonna have probably
What do you mean photos for the wedding? Are you you're doing some of your own stuff?
My honeymoon. Yeah, the honeymoon photos that we're gonna travel and do all that. So I'm tempted to just say, you know what? I'm gonna run my A9 III and do all the photos on that. I really want to make sure that I'm not just gonna like jump into, a really expensive camera when I'm about to spend a lot of money on the honeymoon, and the wedding's obviously not cheap and everything like that. So
and the A9 III is more than capable of whatever you need it to do.
The A9 III is an insane camera. It's super sick. So like I've never taken a photo with it and ever wanted something from the photo other than like small birds that, the thing with doing wildlife with 61 megapixels is throwaway photos often become not throwaway photos.
That's true.
And like, just because you have the megapixels, you can kind of cheat, especially for social. You can crop a ton and get like an okay image.
Mm-hmm.
But actually, like, the cropping isn't the same as like your 500 on those warblers. Like, that looks so good because the shot was good. You were actually close enough to the subject to make the shot look that nice. Yeah. And no cropping is ever going to do that. Not no cropping, but you got to have a lot of really solid situations happening to crop in a ton on a small bird and still have like a nice background and have the light hit perfectly and everything like that. So it's a lot of even Jared Polin, his like I don't crop thing. He says he runs a R1. He's like, I shoot a 24 megapixel camera, and I've never needed more megapixels for anything realistically.
And I think he, in the past, has conceded about birding. Like, okay, unless you're a birder, this is where you can crop.
Well, yeah, because having the ability to do so is for IDing, for just rare birds. It's hard to get. But are the ones where you're heavily cropping? Are those like the photos that you walk away from and be like, look at this incredible photo I took?
Never.
Often not. Often not. Sometimes I'll get like a pretty good one. I have some that are pretty well cropped that were pretty cool.
But if you have to crop to make that image really work, it's never usually portfolio worthy.
Yeah, it's not going to beat some of those up close, like perfect lighting warbler shots you got. It's just not going to look that clean because the photo from the start was not the most advantageous. Like, you know, you weren't even thinking about composition at that point. You're like, I just hope that I can get like a clean-ish photo and get the whole bird in frame.
Yeah.
Or whatever it was. Like, no, not having sticks in front of it or whatever. You're just...
So that cropping power on something like an A7R6 kind of compounds that storage issue, right? Because then you're keeping everything thinking that you can work with that.
Yeah.
So you're really keeping a lot more than you would have on an A9 III or whatever.
Well, and here's the other thing that I'm worried about while I was like kind of talking through how I shoot and running the A9 or the A9 III versus the A7R6 is the A9 III rather has a physical knob for me to turn up going from single shot to my low to my high to my high plus. I don't have to go into a menu. I just click it over. Okay. And that stops me from overshooting a ton because I'll just have it over on low all the time. And then I can always hold a button and then I get my 120, or I can move it up.
That's right.
I can move it up to 20 or I can move it up to 60. But if I don't have that, I'm probably going to be at 20 or 30 all the time. And I just have to have like trigger discipline, right? Like you just can't just be blasting off photos. So I'll probably overshoot more with the A7R6 than I do with the A9 III. So it's just, I don't know. Or I can keep it in mechanical and keep it to 15 and then it'd be fine. But
I have forced myself to stay pretty close to 6 FPS and just be very, very aware of the situations where I think I should turn it up.
Yeah.
And that's been working for me.
Do you have like a way to like on the fly, like boost to a higher frame rate or?
I was just thinking about this last week because there were situations where I would really like that and I don't know yet. So I have to, there is one or two custom function buttons that I think I could probably change if that could work for me. So I'm going to explore that soon.
Yeah. It's so nice. Like on my A9 III's right here, but having the front button that all the other ones don't have, that custom button.
Yeah.
I'm right here. All I do is reach up with my middle finger, and then I'm at 120 when I need to. But my finger doesn't naturally sit on it either. It sits below it naturally when I grab the camera, which is super, super nice.
My lens buttons, actually on the 500, I have 4 custom lens buttons. And right now I have them all to do the same thing because it's just kind of weird position-wise. But
can you change them? Because the Sonys, they can only be one thing on all of them.
I can customize all of them individually.
Oh, that's cool.
But I don't it's weird reach wise to get to any one of them. So I always use the left one, but I never use it really because what I have it set for right now is just to return the focus back to the minimum focus distance, just in case it racks out and doesn't want to rack back in super quickly. But I hardly ever use that because I'm also manually focusing pretty quickly myself. So I might, if I can do this, I might change because my custom function button on the front, that I have 2, top one and a bottom one. The top one I have set to change and cycle through focus areas, so 3D tracking to large focus to full area. And if I can switch that to the lens and then switch to like a speed boost on the body, that might work out better for me. So I'm going to explore that.
Yeah. It's just so handy, and it's like, I can't even imagine how much time it saved me not needing to, and I think I have it set, I might be wrong on this, but I think I have it set to be pre-capture as well. So you can just hold that half press.
Oh, it's both speed boost and pre-capture?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
I'd have to be sure. I just shoot pre-capture a lot because when I stop shooting pre-capture, you have to like remind yourself how to shoot with pre-capture, which is
I'm not getting pre-cap shots now. I got to think differently.
right, because it took me a while to get used to using pre-capture because I have it set to maximum. I have it set to 1.5 seconds.
Wow.
So if you're holding it and then
that's a lot of shots.
and then you see something and but if you're down to 10 FPS or 20 FPS, it's not that bad.
Right.
It's only when I hold that and it's 120, then you're like, okay, well now you have, 180 shots, super fast. But where it gets challenging is you have to remember the second you press it, you're not at the moment you just saw. I'm probably before it. So I miss a ton of photos until I got used to the fact that I had to really overshoot the moment to make sure the pre-capture was hitting the actual moment I saw.
That's like counterintuitive. Damn.
Because I would get like the second. I'd hold it for a second and maybe what happened, the action I wanted was in that extra half second that I didn't even get to. So when I go back to not using pre-capture, then I'm stuck in this world where like it's just I'm missing the thing right behind what I'm shooting. So it for me, I think it kills my battery a lot more when I'm half pressing and holding that buffer like that.
Yeah.
But I have a lot of batteries and it just ends up working okay. I stick to about 20 FPS and I have pre-capture on and it's not bad.
Yeah.
But man, this is making me want to bird.
I will be.
Yeah.
I have to because my morning was terrible, so I gotta make up for that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is definitely our last episode until after my honeymoon. So I don't think we'll have another episode until July.
When do you get back from that? Yeah, July.
Like July 3rd.
Oh my god! Should we prompt a photo share? That way people have time.
I haven't put thought into it.
Landscapes.
I was gonna say landscapes. It's pretty funny. I was thinking like, what could I do? And then, all right, so
it is.
So mid July, it'll probably be the second episode in July. So we'll remind you again when we get back.
That makes sense.
Because I'm probably going to have a lot of photography to share from the honeymoon.
So y'all got time.
Yeah. So you got literally at least 6 weeks from hearing this episode on the first day it come out. It'll probably be June. I could get it out tonight, but it'll be June 1st. I think when this episode is airing. So we'll do landscapes, and this can be like landscapes doesn't have to be the Tetons, which mine will probably be the Tetons because I'll be in the Tetons, but
it could be in your backyard.
But it could definitely be like your park, your local park that you like to go hang out at. If I wasn't going to be in beautiful places next month for the first time in a very long time, I would probably be doing something like the landscapes at Fenner because they have a big prairie outside of the woods that's super gorgeous. There's a lot of stuff that you can probably kick up. So
absolutely.
And if you're not in a landscapey area, cityscapes are landscapes.
They are.
It just you got to change your mind about how you're shooting the photography. What's the subject of the thing? And I know some folks in the New York City area that probably at least once a month do some kind of cityscape photo because they just live in the city. It always looks different. You can always find new compositions. You can always tell a little bit of a different story and a different vibe. So be creative. The email to submit will be in the description below. And anyone is welcome to send in. Let's stick to one photo for this one. And let's try to get some good participation. We'd love to fill an episode. I'd like to be so scared that we're going to go way over time that we have to do a photo share episode where it's only talking about the photo share.
I would love that.
Yeah, it'd be epic. So, yeah, we'll do that. That'll be probably July, halfway through July. So July 15th, 16th, whatever that closest weekend is probably when we'll do that.
Perfect.
We'll remind you right after. I believe my dad is coming to visit for the first time ever. Right when I'm back, so I'd love to say we could shoot like July 4th weekend, but probably won't be able to do that. So I guess I'll do this live on the show. If that's going to be July, Saturday, 5th, we'll probably shoot the weekend of the 10th, 11th, 12th, which means you probably have, it might be end of July. But I might not be able to short end of July, so we're going to have to call it. We're going to have to commit to doing an episode the weekend of the 18th and a weekend of the 25th. But we'll owe it to you because we're not doing anything in June.
Yeah. I think we can manage.
Yeah, or the 11th and the 25th. We could pull off the 11th and the 25th.
Yeah.
So yeah, that'll be it. Landscapes, baby. Follow us on Instagram. Share your photography with us. We like to do that. Reach out to us. Join the Discord. Come talk to us about stuff.
It's been popping. I love it.
Yeah, it's there's plenty of room. It's still super small, so we'd love to come chat. Come tell me why I'm wrong about Fujifilm. I'm open to it. You can, reply all the hate you want. I'm gonna clickbait the hell out of that. Yeah, I don't think I got much else for you.
I've got nothing else. I'm gonna go make some lunch.
He's very hungry.
Your boy. All right, guys. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one, huh?
Later.